Yes, I was growing up with all my life, so yeah, Rhodes Scholar,
Rhodes Scholar, how appropriate. The Dr. Bradley is off today.
Yes. Well, he's taking care of the family.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Did you get a chance to listen to his service last week?
Oh no, I tried to. It was on Facebook, and I couldn't get But the service was at the same time my regular service is on. Okay. Yeah, so it's I got to
fluke yourself. He did a good job. I was gonna have him do prayer this morning. I think that's why he ducked out on us. We were gonna put him to work. He ducked out on us. Again, you listening to the round table with MAMLEO. We were talking off air, how we don't support. Even this is a perfect example. MAMLEO's probably been one of the longer broadcasts here. We come in, we volunteer our time. There's a cost associated with it for us personally because we don't get reimbursed for gas and time, and could be doing something else, getting more sleep on Saturday morning, and but it's an investment in our community. It's an investment in us having a word, and this has been a vessel to help make change. But not talking about MAMLEO, because we said we support our own broadcast, but folks, you can drop a few dollars to support this radio station. Like I said, we have a voice, but we're losing it. It costs to operate. Like I said, everyone here is voluntary, including Pastor Haas. We appreciate that, brother. But this station, we're just saying, we find that when folks make it out, and we forget to go back and bring others along. Yeah, we have to have that Harriet Tubman mentality, right? Once we get free, come back and help free someone else.
Well, what was her biggest regret, right?
I could have freed more slaves. They only knew they were
slaves. Yeah. So that's the analogy that we're still in, because a lot of times, the people you're trying to help don't realize that you're the helper, and they see the enemy as the provider. When people they got paid off by the ex-resident Agent Orange, and then they're like, "Oh no, that's who I want to vote for."
Right.
Yeah,
and good pivot. Rhodes. Did you know there was a trial going on? With Agent Orange.
Agent Orange, yes.
Again,
the orange is the new black, right?
I like
once you go black, you don't go back.
Right, I like that. 617-282-0685. 617-282-0685. You're listening to the round table with MAMLEO. Rhodes, I was listening to, most folks don't. They find it boring. I find it interesting because you're watching history in real time, right?
Yes.
Some folks will read about this 100 years now when we're all a dirt sandwich, right? And we're no longer here, and they'll be like, wow. And, so I always ask, well, what would I have done if I had been back there in those times? Would I had been on the sideline, or would I have been a Harriet Tubman? I would hope that I would have been a Harriet Tubman, right? Or one of those folks, because those are the people I can look up to and respect, right? I can't look at the ones who tell them, we Sigmaza. No, you Sigmaza. And whatever you got, you keep it.
I'm sorry, I should not be laughing, but that is the indoctrination and the brainwashing that they did to the point where it's like the people could physically walk away, but they were mentally incapable of leaving.
Well, you ever see that there's a picture of two black girls standing in front of the gate, and and one side is open, and they're still standing trying to figure out
how to get
how to walk through the open gate. It really says a lot, and there's no words there. You just look at it, and most people can't even figure out what it's about, and it's about your mind being imprisoned, right? Yes. And when you speak about this is not a disdain or dislike for any race, because I would not try to transfer what people have done to me to others. But when you speak something radical, there's nothing radical about speaking the truth.
Exactly, like what Bob Marley said, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. And that's the thing. If you're trapped up here, there's nothing. They don't need to put any physical barriers.
No.
They've already got you, and then they control you through your mind and stuff. And so the thing of the philosophy that's created white supremacy, And if we can't get rid of that as a society, we're doomed to keep repeating. As I say, if you don't study history to learn from it, you're doomed to repeat it.
Right, and we are repeating it because, some of these laws and stuff that some of these states want to go back to.
We go back to Arizona. We're going back to Arizona.
Right. We go back to Indiana. That's as far as we're going to go, right?
Well, if it wasn't for Haiti, there would be no Indiana. Right. The Louisiana Purchase was allowed because of the Haitian Revolution.
Right.
So, it would have been just 13 colonies.
But I want to dive into this, where these folks, these Agent Orange supporters make it seem like this is some bipartisan. This is some
the witch hunt. Are you a witch? Are you saying that you're a witch then?
Right, but also, when they had the congressional hearing on the January 6th, in which Donald Trump, right, and all of the people that testified were Republicans who worked for him.
Yes.
These were not people who were in some conspiracy. And a lot of them, the people that talk now, were part of his cabinet. And even what's even more disturbing, and the only one that has said, his vice president, Mike Pence said he would not be voting for Donald Trump. Yeah. But the other day, and Bill Barr, the former attorney general, said that Donald Trump should be nowhere near the White House. But he's going to still vote for him.
What do they call that? The irony?
I think it's insanity.
The insanity, yes.
And so a lot of these folks are saying that if you're so patriotic and it's about country, because here's the thing, like Liz Cheney, I don't agree with her on any policy matters whatsoever. But as she alluded to, you can change policy. You can put someone in there, but when once an autocrat gets in,
doesn't matter what you
look at. We have examples. Look at Russia, right? Mm-hmm. And then when they're only focused on their own situation, right, and they're not paying attention to the country, right? That's why folks can come in and blow up that theater, right? And why in Israel, right? With Netanyahu, right?
Go basically have been on trial like Trump.
He is exactly. That's what I'm saying.
And that's who those are his allies.
These are the people that he looks because he wants to be like them, where people are in total control. And people, if he gets a second term, and it may be continuing. He wants to continue as an autocrat. He said it out of his own mouth from day one that he only wants loyalists. I mean, even right now, if you want to be part of a Republican National Committee, you have to basically take a blood oath to Donald Trump, and you have to all your money to Donald Trump.
What is it? His daughter-in-law.
Daughter-in-law is a co-chair. Right. So
the money is actually being funneled to take care of his legal bills,
which is mounting, right?
Yes.
Which is mounting, right? Yeah. Because
then I guess the first thing he's gonna do is as soon as he gets in there is shut down all the federal investigations. He can't stop the state prosecutions.
And Arizona just opened up another one. So again, these are not Democrats.
Exactly. And it's so crazy, the fact that the guy is being indicted for more and more crimes, but no, they're after him. Everybody else is wrong, not except for him. It's like he's a victim.
But to his credit, he already painted narratives. Just like during the election, he said, if he loses, it's a scam. Right? There's something wrong. But if he wins, everything is on the up and up. What does that say about an individual of that mindset?
Well, he's not.
What does it say about the people that support it?
No, exactly. They're bullies. They're willing to lie. They cheat or do whatever it is for them to say that they won, whether it's the truth or not. But bottom line is that's what they're willing to do. And then so he is literally a bully. Again, that's never. Essentially, he's never been. Punched in the face.
Right. Well, he has. This is the first time that for someone like him who is usually the center of attention, right? When he's in the courtroom and he gets to, and the judge, he has to stand up. Normally, when you're the president and you walk in the room and they sound "Hail to the Chief" and everyone stands, and now you have to stand for that man in the black robe. You have to stand when the jury and someone else, because he doesn't understand. We don't have kings and we don't have a monarchy here, right? Is that once you're no longer president, right? You're a private citizen. Just like all the former presidents that are still alive are private citizens now. They have no presidential powers. They don't go with you. They're not transferable.
The Supreme Court's skirting the issue, and they're kind of looking at it now.
Right. That we want to install a king.
Yeah. His Supreme Court.
Yeah, we want to.
His illegitimate Supreme Court.
Yeah, exactly.
If they actually follow the rules that Mitch McConnell laid down for Obama, but he switched them once Trump got in.
Right, and then two of those Supreme Court. and that's what they're focused on as well. If he gets another term, is stacking the courts with people like he has on the Supreme Court, at the appellate courts, at the district courts. So this is why I say voting matters.
It does. It does.
Voting matters, and the fact that here we are in 2024, we have someone with 91 counts in one court, 30 something in the one he's currently on trial for, and numerous in other parts of the country. And yet he's the leading candidate for a major party, for the Republican Party in this country.
They want a criminal. They would rather have a criminal than face the truth. Hey, that's what the Republican Party has said. Like, we don't want the truth. We don't want to actually fix things in this country. We'd rather, win politically and destroy the country.
Well, it's become a sideshow, like the Marjorie Taylor Greene from Georgia there. Because the Congress decided to support Ukraine in their efforts to fend off another dictator, an autocrat, and Vladimir Putin, that his job is in jail. And I'm shocked that he did it, because they all listen to Donald Trump, and Donald Trump, he's a transactional president. And you can see from this trial that's going on, the former head of the National Enquirer, how this was a catch and kill
story,
with his administration. That's a crime in this country.
No, it is. But what's even more of a crime? The fact that the other national publications weren't looking for these stories. Well, if he's the president, how come they didn't have private investigators looking for these things?
Right.
Like, what happened to the other media? Like, that the tape gets released by Entertainment Tonight? Like, what? Excuse me, like, where are the other news agencies? Because at least, ABC, whatever, those people, when they went Watergate, it was actual journalism being done when they're investigating the president. Right. This guy has been on TV and been like a personality for how many years, and not one news media could have gotten, like, how many court cases? 1,500 times he's been sued, and y'all could not do some research on that?
Right.
To show a pattern, at least. And it's like, so I really blame the media. The fact that you gave him a whole forum where he was like the apprentice, and people thought he was like a smart man, because
it was all show game.
It was a game show to them. You know what I mean? And then so that's who I feel like is kind of let down the democracy as well, as the fact that people.
No, you're right, because when the apprentice came on, that was like a lifeline for him from NBC. He was tanking.
He was losing money on everything.
And that brought him back, because he had portrayed himself this image. And I mean, and you're right, because people say he's a smart businessman. Everything he's touched has been bankrupt, including him. It's been bankrupt.
The only reason the airline still survives is because he's personally using the airline.
No, he doesn't have an airline anymore.
There's just one plane that has Trump.
The
Trump plane.
Trump Airlines went out of business, went bankrupt a long time ago. Shortly after it got started, the
steak, the vodka, the school, whatever, everything.
Right, everything. Now is his company that it's. You would think it was. Always thought the Trump organization was this huge conglomerate. It's like less than 10 people, and most of them are his family members.
Yep, and he's just licensing out the name.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So he doesn't actually build anything. He just puts the name on top of it and stuff. And it's
because
like,
the name recognition.
Yeah.
It's a branding operation more than anything. But also, what was revealed in the trial this week was the folks that are still supporting him, like Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz and Ben Carson, right?
Sellouts.
These were folks who now know the truth that Donald Trump was in cahoots with the National Enquirer to fabricate stories about them. That they know the truth. Now, how do you still where is your spine, Rhodes? I'm sorry, I love you, my brother, but if I found out that you were in cahoots with someone putting out this propaganda, these false narratives, and really attacking my credibility, I'm done.
Yeah. No. I have no respect for those people. None.
They have no respect for themselves.
Yeah. The idea. What was the other guy? The guy that Nikki Haley, Tim Scott. The fact, I think he's really just button up so he can be vice president to run for vice president.
Yeah.
Like the man. Rubio, who's the Cruz, like, and then Mitch McConnell even insulted his wife.
Exactly.
And the man,
not only he be sleeping on the couch, he be sleeping in the doghouse. He's gonna vote for him. But like I said, the former Attorney General Barr said that Trump should be nowhere near the White House, nowhere near the Oval, but he's gonna vote for him.
I don't know. It's like saying like I know it's poison, but I'm gonna taste it.
Yeah,
anyway.
I'm gonna drink. Yeah, you know, I'm just curious what it tastes
like. I know I tasted it before, but let me just try it again.
Right. But like I said, there are so many people. This is what I said. We're really at a crossroads in this country on where we go as a people, right? I mean, the only thing I find that is a little, not say comforting, but gives me a little hope is that I'm looking at even recently in the Pennsylvania primary and the Republican, and it's a closed primary, so only Republicans can vote. Mm-hmm. And Nikki Haley, who hasn't been on the ballot, who suspended her campaign several in the last few elections, that Trump was really the only one on the ballot because everyone else had basically conceded.
Yeah,
that she's still garnering close to 20% of the votes in the Republican primary. So there's still a lot of people who, thankfully, are saying they're repulsed enough that they don't want any part of him. Now, whether they're going to turn around and vote for him in November, I don't know. But even if they sit out, that helps. I mean,
but again, and I'm thinking like, would Nikki Haley, would she back down and then actually go for his vice presidency?
I don't think so. I think
not.
There's too much of a rift there, and it just. I'm hoping there are enough people in this country.
No, because the thing is,
that
like,
have had enough of this side.
And I hope like everyone he asked to be their vice president says no.
Oh no, there are folks that they want that notoriety because they see the
like I know.
If
like
Trump
Scott,
nominates
Rubio,
them,
whatever,
it now is basically in some ways he passed the baton. But the other thing, did you see how that Trump looks like he's 110 years old? He's falsely claimed that Joe Biden is Sleepy Joe. This guy looks awful. Awful, bro. Awful. Yeah. He looks like he looks like he has aged 50 years.
I try to avoid even looking at him. Mm-hmm. You know, I feel like the negative Agent Orange, I guess it gets too much attention.
I can't watch him. He comes out and he does this blue press conference.
And it's not, the fact that he is allowed to say these things and people don't automatically counter it with the truth,
right?
And that bothers me.
Well, also these again, you walk out of the courtroom and these are his people, they're close friends of his, who are testifying because they have to tell the truth.
Yeah,
he doesn't have to speak, but he thinks he can go out and put a spin on it, right? After they speak, right? And he knows, like even the guy from the National Enquirer, you notice how he doesn't attack him because he knows he has a lot more dirt on him that he could unload. And the other
very true.
Is
he's a very nice guy. He's a nice guy. How many stories did the guy catch?
How many other women? How many other stories did he catch and kill? But also, and someone pointed it out. It's interesting that not one of his family members are there.
Yeah,
his wife isn't there. Yeah, right.
That's true. Oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that.
Right, no.
Usually it's like usually someone from the family
is there.
Well, no, like his sister. One of his sisters is actually saying like before he even ran for president, she was a judge, and she was like he should not be president.
Right.
She was like I'm a judge, and he's my brother, and I'm telling you he should not be president.
No, these are narcissists, right? Yeah. I think that people were looking to try. Like remember when I don't know if you're a young guy when Ross Perot ran, they were looking for someone from the business, and Ross Perot really actually ran a business, right? And they were looking for someone like that, and because people were fed up with politicians at the time, and I think Hillary Clinton was more unpopular. I think if it had been anybody but Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump would not have been president.
I agree.
But because she was more unlike than him, and at the time he didn't have a real record, right? He had never been a politician, and people were willing to overlook his shortcomings, right? Because they wanted to try something different.
But I was like, every time something came out, I thought that would knock him out. Any other candidate would have been knocked out.
I think if it hadn't been, because you have to understand, he run against Hillary Clinton, whose husband had an affair in the White House, and so he was able to. Remember, he brought some of those women who had him sit in the front row. Yeah. So you had someone who you couldn't contrast, and look with Bill Clinton. So those were things that worked in his benefit.
Understood.
And the fact that the National Enquirer was putting these stories out there and catch and kill, and then putting out negative stories about his opponents only helped him.
Yeah, but I still think I don't know if he would have done it or what have you, but if she had made Bernie Sanders her vice president,
I don't think that was. I think it was Hillary, because a lot of people felt like Hillary Clinton didn't deserve it, and that she felt
entitled to it. Yes, right. Absolutely.
And that was a turnoff for a lot of people. Yeah. And so that I think if it had been anyone But Hillary Clinton, him running against, he would not.
And then the fact that I think was it Barbara Boxer, she was the head of the Democratic Party at the time, or the National Democratic Committee, but she kind of like was like trying to behind the scenes fix it that she was gonna win, and not again.
Well, they were against Bernie Sanders.
Yes, right? Exactly.
I think like I said, if it had been anyone but Hillary, so we have to blame her.
Like I said, because the thing is, Ronald Reagan, when he won the nomination, he beat George Bush, and what he did was unify the Republican Party by making George Bush his vice president.
Right.
And I think that would have been the political science 101 move to make. Unify this. I was number one, get number two, make the party one, and then boom, we're gonna get our agenda through. And then because nothing wrong with Kane or whatever, but I just felt like that was the opportunity that was lost right there on her part.
I think hopefully, like I said, because the Republican Party is so fractured, so split, there are still true conservatives who
are not going
to hold their nose. Yeah. In most cases, people will they will pivot back, and even most.
I think independents too are gonna not go for that.
But the other thing too, Rhodes, is that most times when people, once they've won their primary, they kind of try to pivot back to the center. Trump is still campaigning to his base, right? He feels like he didn't win last time with just his base. There's not enough crazies in the world to support him becoming president again. So that's my whole hope, is that that won't happen.
And then, like you said, I love when you use the analogy. It's like the dog that caught the car with the abortion with the Roe versus Wade. Like again, he didn't. Every other state that they've tried to now legislate this, the people have voted it down.
But to that point, right, where he's saying now, he
wants to go leave it back to the states.
Right, in the states that this is what I'm saying. We see what's happening, right? It's states' rights. It's not states' rights. It's people's rights. Because you have because that's the other thing that Republicans, to their credit, what they did is that they took over a lot of these state houses, right, around the country, and now, but they're seeing now they're losing, they're pushing. Even in Alabama, a Democrat got elected on abortion, because even women who are conservative are saying, "Wait a minute, you're going to tell me that I can't tell you what type of gun you can have, but and that's something you got to go purchase. This is my body, and you're going to tell me what I can and cannot do with it? I don't think so." And a bunch of men in most cases that are telling them how they can and cannot act with it. But I think a lot of times, I don't think people understood abortion is not just someone just doesn't want to have a child. There are a lot of
health reasons why. Yes. Again, where it threatens the mother's life.
Yes.
And the child is not going to be viable.
But also, folks who claim they're so pro-life, that their doctors are telling them that this child inside them is so septic, it's going to cause them so much harm that they won't be able to reproduce. How is that pro-life if this person can no longer wants to have a child?
You're making them now going to be sterile.
They're going to be septic because of what's happening to them. But also, how can you be pro-life and these are folks who are
pro-death, pro-capital punishment? And then no, we're pro-life, but you can have the child, but no welfare, no free lunch, no free education, no free prenatal care, no free postnatal care.
You're on your own.
Exactly. Once you have the child, you're on your own.
Vote for me.
No, have that child and be burdened with it, but that's not my concern right now. Right. You had the child. Wait a second. why don't you support? Because every other country, I mean, in Britain, every person that has a child, they're given this box, and the box basically can get the child from 0 to 18 months. It turns into a little crib. It has their little bottles. They
give you a box.
They give you a box for your baby. Okay. In France, they give you $10,000 for your baby, so you can stay home and take care of the child. Oh, wow. So it's like these industrializations. We have the money. It's just that we're not. It's funny how they can always bail out the airlines. They can bail out the banks. They can bail out the bank. But they can never bail out the people. Yeah. And that's the thing. If you bail out the people can take care of themselves.
But even when they did during COVID, right? That was it had to be a crisis. Everything was shut down, right? Yeah. But even that wasn't enough to live on.
No, it wasn't. And again, if it was corporations, they would have gotten the PPP loans. They got those grants. Right. They're forgiven. Right. And it's unfortunate. A lot of people were fraudulent, and they're going to jail about those things right now. But again, a lot of people now these businesses, they forgave those loans. How come they can't forgive student loans? Okay. So we
were talking about that off the air, and now you brought up. Let's dive in there, and because Jamal was saying earlier, there was an article in there whether or not college is something that people need. Mm-hmm. And even if you need it, the question really comes to, can you afford it, right?
Yeah.
Because BU is saying next year that $90,000 to go to Boston University.
But it's a narrative that they're pushing upon you, and then all these colleges and universities here are taking on it. And I think it was like
it's only for the elite.
Yeah, but before the 1960s or whatever, in the 1960s, it was still like $2,000. Like I remember when I went to college, it was still like $2,000 a semester, and that didn't include room and board, but it was like $2,000. You can afford it. You can commute to school or what have you a semester. And now it's because the idea of like when you have those guaranteed student loans, the institutions knows they're going to get paid, and they're like, you're going to be the one saddled with the bill. So they just keep raising the prices, and they don't put a limit on the amount of student loans that you can take out for, I mean, like you got to qualify or whatever.
A lot of the schools now are remote as well. So they're not even having to have the overhead. And I think that's the other thing, because really, as Dr. Bradley said on the broadcast, is a lot of them, they become hotels as a business, right? Because they're selling your food and amenities, right? Yes, exactly. So I mean, if you look down, Northeastern's a prime example, right? It's taken over down there. Down there, yeah. BU over on Common, it's taken over. So they get a huge tax break.
I was just going to mention, the fact that they as an institution, educational hospitals and churches and cemeteries.
Right. That's why Donald Trump buried his wife there, ex-wife there. Right?
Exactly. He basically turned that golf course into a cemetery so he doesn't have to pay taxes on it. Again, brought to you by Agent Orange. But
so I don't know how much of this trial you've seen or folks have seen this week. I like I said, and it's a little complicated because what they were saying in this is that him paying off the porn stars and stuff, that's not the crime.
No.
People think him paying that is actually legal.
Yeah. It's the way he wrote it and tried to
hide it. Right. They claimed that as a legal expense. Right. That it was for the attorney.
Yeah.
You can't cook the books in that way. That's where the fraud is.
Yes.
And the guy, I mean, he laid it out.
Yeah,
he laid it out. No, and the thing is, I don't think much that they didn't really go after him pretty hard because it wasn't like he was an adversary for Donald Trump. These were not people. No. The only one that, and even Michael Cohen, who hasn't testified, his former lawyer, his former fixer, they would want him to believe that somehow he was doing this on his own.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I like this is my rich boss, but I'm gonna take care of his bills because that's what I want to do. That's how I work. That's how I roll.
Right, exactly. Why would you reimburse someone?
Yeah.
Or why would I go out and get an equity loan on my home to pay for someone you slept with so that you can be in the White House? Yeah. What's the advantage for me? You're gonna say, well, he wanted a job, in the administration.
Yeah.
Okay. Still.
Yeah.
I can't get that job unless you get your job, right? Mm-hmm. So this was all about, and the fact that there were conversations, and this is where all this documentation of you having this, and you claiming that you didn't know these women, and then they bring in your secretary who has the books where you have their personal information, their phone numbers, their emails, and all of that in the books.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and you're saying you didn't know, and then you're gonna try to spin that and say, "Oh, because you wanted them to be contestants on The Apprentice." Give me a break. I mean, it's like you think everyone is that gullible and that stupid, and maybe you figure just all you need is one juror,
and that's literally
that's what he's banking on. Because he knows that that whole group is not going to.
No, but again, it's like it's going to be one either weak-minded individual or just headstrong individual that's going to be like, no, I'm not voting.
Yeah.
And they just won't be able to see it, or she, I'm not sure. But again, that's the only way I see him getting off it because they're laying out. Well,
let me ask you to that point. Do you think that even though he won't be found guilty, I think anything short of a not guilty, I think is going to have an impact on voters because I don't think people can say, well, you have a hung jury. That means that there's some people who didn't think he did it. And because it's not. I think he need an exoneration that he was found not guilty. I don't think a hung jury helps him. It may help him with his base, which he's not going to lose anyways.
He's never.
But I think with these undecided, these swing voters,
you need the guilty. Like, hey, he's guilty. For not guilty. For them to be like, all right, I made up my mind. I'm not going to put a criminal in charge. Right. Because that's. I think people are going to draw the line there. Yeah. Some people. I don't know if it's all people, but some people are going to draw the line there.
I mean, I guess it's just sad that this election is even this close. Right?
Yeah, it is. But it's sad that he's also, again, like he knows how to play the media game. Like, what is he selling now to help him with his court case?
What, his mugshot?
Bibles.
Oh, Bibles. Yeah, Bibles.
He's selling Bibles
3 times what they normally cost, right?
Something like $59 or $69. $59.99. But they also include a copy of the Constitution in the back of it. Mm-hmm. I'm like, well,
yesterday he was trying to market and campaign. It was his wife's birthday, and he was sending out things, birthday. But basically, you could read in there, send money. But even some of those folks are tapped out, and they're realizing that they're not paying for a campaign; they're paying for legal fees. Yeah, so it's $90,000 a day.
Yeah.
A day.
Yeah, no, and he can't get away with it because before people would take him at his word, but since everyone's come out and say he doesn't pay his bills, they're like, no, we need the money up front.
But also, he's starting to see, the amount of money, and everything with him was a competition. It's like when the recent fundraiser, when Biden raised over $28 million, and then he said he raised $50 million. But
it was funny when his Truth Social went public and it lost money, and people invested millions and billions into it, and it still lost money.
It's $4 billion, and the only person that's going to make out is him because he's got his folks buying a stock that's going to be worthless, right? Yeah. And then he's going to sell it, right?
Exactly.
He's going to cash out with their money. Yeah, there's nothing going to be there. This thing was already losing money.
Yeah.
Donald Trump is a loser. If his dad hadn't bailed him out all those years, and even when he left him all that money, he lost it.
Yeah, and that is something to actually talk about, like the transference of wealth. Mm-hmm. Like again, unfortunately, when we were talking about the whole thing about the median worth of a black family compared to the estate planning, is something that's so overlooked by people in our community. The idea of having a will and a trust or things like that set up. And like, I know in our community, say, "Oh, you got a will? They're gonna try to kill me, or whatever." They set it up. It's like, no, it's to make sure that Uncle Sam doesn't come in at 9 months after you pass away and take away everything.
But see, that's the thing is, you just hit on road is that people think, "Oh, well, I'm not gonna spend $2,000 or $3,000 to set that up, right?"
Not understanding hundreds of thousands of dollars you just leave on the table for Uncle Sam to take away from you.
Right.
After you pass away, there's nothing you can do about it when you pass away.
Right.
Yeah.
And how things are structured.
Yeah.
Is to that point. We've seen people who have lost their homes or businesses because people don't realize if somebody leaves something to you, now there's a tax associated with that, right? Because it's a value. Yeah. Right. It's a value.
And
So if I leave my home and it's not structured properly, that means the IRS is the next one knocking on your door.
9 months later, it's a taxable event if you change it, if you just transfer it by name.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you leave someone a home that's worth, let's just use Boston prices, $900,000, right? And the government's going to say
30% of that belongs to me because you didn't leave it.
You say, "Well, I don't have cash."
They're like, "Oh, yeah, you're going to have to sell it. If you have the cash, then thank you very much."
And we'll take some of that as well.
And then probate court's the biggest court system in this country. It's the only court system where you're not guaranteed a speedy trial, a trial by jury, or you're not afforded a representation. So 30% goes to the state, 30% has to go to your attorney, and you, the family, the beneficiaries are left with 40%, and that's in Massachusetts. Wow. Some other states, where Prince died, Minnesota, 80% goes to the state.
Wow.
So his family is fighting over $20 million, which is now probably like $16 million because of all the legalese and stuff like that. But the state of Minnesota, as soon as Prince died, because they did not have a will or set up in a trust, 80% of his assets went to the state.
So again, why do you think it is that are those uncomfortable conversations we have?
Well, no, we should normalize money talk because money affects every aspect of your life. But again, people in this country, it's taboo to talk about it, and it's not, it's not taught in school. Like, just financial literacy is something that is so needed, no matter what. But I've spoken to a lot of people, and they're like, "Oh yeah, in school, at least they got a month or a couple of weeks." I don't like, I remember doing junior achievement, things of that nature, where, okay, like, we learned about being entrepreneurs, but no one talked to you about how to manage. Right. Like, we become a millionaire, but how do you manage that million so you can keep that million?
Because we've seen cases in the past where we've seen celebrities, athletes, right?
People that win the lottery.
Right.
2 years later, they broke again.
Right.
Yeah, how does that happen?
Wait a minute, how did you lose $10 million? Well, first of all, like you said, they don't understand the tax portion of it, right?
Yeah.
But if when you look at these, and it's all to attract people, these big lottery jackpots, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they say if you take it in one lump sum, 1 billion is now 600 million, right? If you take it in one. I'm like, well, wait a minute, what happened to the rest? Oh, well, the government gets it off the top.
They do.
So now you're left with that. And you say, well, look at companies, look at that businesses, like you said, that go under because they're not properly managed, or they're not set up structurally, right?
Yes.
It's no different. People that have not used to having don't plan accordingly.
No, they don't.
Right?
Well, it is unfortunate, the fact that is that when people do whatever infusion of cash or capital that they get within them, the fact that they don't have a plan or a way.
What's that saying? If you
people don't fail to plan. They just people don't plan to fail. They just fail to plan. And I tell, like, one of the things I tell people is, like, if you get into a lot of money, take a couple of months, just take some financial literacy classes.
Right. And I know that's your background. I know you're not giving out financial advice here, but that is important advice, because that's not financial, that's common sense advice, right? So you would suggest to people, if they come into any type of wealth, or if they're looking at, because like I started luckily because again I had people around me who were into it, and I embraced it, and I look back now, it's funny because my mother-in-law said to me, she says, how did you foresee? I said I didn't. I said I guess probably because I was so young, I thought I was being reckless and irresponsible, right? Investing in stuff that I knew nothing about, but it paid off.
Like you said, plant the seeds, start early, and a lot of times people don't.
You can't harvest if you don't plant. Right?
No, you don't. And the thing is, invest in yourself. And people don't, like, when you say that, they're like, what? They don't understand. And I try to explain to them that the fact of the matter is, it's like, if you're not gonna be putting money, investing in yourself, like, how do you expect other people to invest in you?
But to that point, right, people say, I don't want to be paying, I don't want to deal with a mortgage, but I'm like, if you're paying rent,
you're paying someone else's mortgage,
mortgage, and you're building up no equity, right? And let's say you're paying on average now $3,000 a month, right? So multiply that by 30, the same 30-year mortgage, right?
You would have overpaid for the house. You would have bought 2 or 3 houses for the amount of rent that you're paying. And it just takes a little organizing, a little planning to do that.
But how do you get folks to, like I said, it's conditioning, right? As you said earlier in Harriet Tubman, I could have freed more slaves if they only knew they were slaves. But if that's what the culture you growing up in, your family, because my mom was a renter. She didn't get a home until I bought her a home. So that's the culture that most of us, but most of my family members, matter of fact, except one, is a homeowner. Because
the thing is, again,
they saw the value.
Yeah, they did, but again, like you said, it's not taught in the family. It's not talked about. It's not something that we're proactive. You said you got a mentor, and then that's how you learned. But you're teaching your daughters now,
right?
Exactly.
But I've also taught other people, and not everyone has embraced it. But those who have are very grateful and thankful, because they realize they're investing in themselves, right? Even those, no one likes paying that mortgage every month, but at some point, like,
you're building equity. The property's going to go up in value, and what you've paid
all I'm paying now is the taxes.
You're
paying. You can't get away from that.
You can't. You definitely
someone else is.
But however, if you do set it up, you can. Like, if you do enough planning, the taxes that the estate is going to generate will be taken care of by you leaving, an entity that takes care of the taxes.
Right.
And then, but again, that's the thing about planning. You got to start early. Uncle Sam already plans on you dying.
Right.
They already, from the day you're born, they're already banking on you dying without a will, without any sort of preparation. Because 50% of the people that die in this country don't die without a will. And what that automatically means is anything that had your name on it, from a 401k to your property, your car, anything that has your name as you are the owner, now has to go into a probate.
Even if you're married?
Oh no! If you're married, if the person's name was on the property, automatically it transfers that way. But if it was just your one name on it,
and that's what it's a lot of times is if you have children. Or if you want to leave it to someone else, that's where the problems come.
No, it does. It does. So you got to learn how to set it up, because in a way it becomes its own entity, and then so the people become benefactors of the of the estate, but they're not the owner.
They don't have the same rights as your spouse does.
Yeah,
spouses, people don't realize that. That's why I've had folks who have gotten separated but never got divorced, and then something happens to them. We had, unfortunately, an officer who was killed in the line of duty. Had never got divorced from his wife.
So the second girlfriend or whatever
that he'd been living with, had children with, right? She got nothing.
Yeah.
The wife was able to step in because the law only recognizes that was his legal wife, not the separation.
And I talk to a lot of people all the time. Like, your status has changed. You need to make sure that your beneficiaries are updated. And they don't understand that.
Yeah. And I ain't gonna worry about it. I won't be here, right? Do you hear that? Let's get your face, man.
Yeah. No. And they kind of take it as a joke, and you kind of say no, this is literally, you're trying to save your family from the heartache and the pain of just making because you know how many families break up because the decisions that people are making about the funeral, and they don't agree with this, or that's not how they would have wanted, or that's not how she would. And it's if you just take the time to do the planning, to put it where it's written in black and white. I'm sorry, we ain't gonna argue with it. It's written here, and we're gonna follow the person's wishes and do what they wanted us to do, and that's it.
Right.
And then so they can't be again, people do contest wills all the time. They will take it to court and be like, no, this is not what they want.
But at least it gives them a blueprint of what you wanted. Right?
Exactly. Exactly.
If it's not like they say, what do they say about an oral agreement? It's worth the paper it's written on, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not written. Everyone has an interpretation.
Yeah.
But if someone can look at it and say, oh, well, they ask you, is that your signature on this document? Yes, it is. And the document spells out what your intentions are. You can contest it, but we have something here that says what you wanted done. Turn at your demise. If we don't have that, one side is saying you want everything to go to me. The other one is saying, and then there's the people that come out of the woodwork who claims you have promises to them, right?
Yes. And then
and it's an easy way to fix that, right? It's just having your affairs in order. Because I find, and you and I definitely have to get together soon, because I find that once that's done, even that thing that was, people don't like to think about death, it's out of the way. Yeah. You don't have to think about it.
You don't have to think about it. It's going to be taken care of. You know how things are going to work. And then again, when people say you're at peace when it's time to go, you're like, hey, I do not know how, no one knows when or how they're going to go, but you want to think that, hey, if I'm going and I know I'm going, I have the peace of mind that, hey, I took care of everything that I need to take care of.
But what you said, we don't know. We could walk out there and step off the sidewalk, and that could be the end.
Yeah.
Right?
What was his name? Lieutenant or Superintendent Sullivan, who was saying, when it's your time to go, it's your time to go. He's like, someone on the MBTA got stabbed 17 times.
Right.
They lived. And an old man that was choked on a piece of gum died.
Right. Exactly.
You don't know.
You don't know what you don't know. If I think if we had a clock that we knew, most of us would probably
the expiration date where we're going to go. Yeah.
Well, I think it would probably kill us knowing. So it's a good thing in
no, I guess no, you don't want to know when you're going to go.
No. And like I said, it's sometimes because of health reasons, the doctors can have a predictor of the time that you have, and that's based on people with same situation in the past. But also to that point, he said when we talk about the displacement, I get notifications all the time because I've been in real estate every day of properties, 500 square feet, $900,000, in certain neighborhoods. And I just shake my head. I'm like, my closet is bigger than that. And this is what you want. Because no longer, like you said, you used to be able to buy a 3-family.
No, now they turn them into condos.
Right, exactly.
Like, what is that? Because it's like, because I remember that's how we were landlords. It's like we had one floor,
right.
we were rent 2 other floors or whatever. But yeah.
Not anymore. No. You can't buy the whole building anymore. You can maybe buy one unit, and then you've got a condo.
Who did that? The bankers and realtors? Like, who set that up?
I think because homes have become so expensive.
Yeah, but like, why were you able? Like, I remember my dad bought his 3-decker for $30,000. Your mom, or like someone bought theirs for $10,000.
Yeah, I bought a 4-family in the South End from Charlie Dickinson for $50,000 for a 4-family on Northampton Street, on the first property I ever owned. And I mean, I thought that was a lot back then, which back then it was. But
now look how much it's worth now.
Well, I sold. It was a catalyst for me being able to be cash rich, in the sense being able to be my own bank. But you're right. I mean, the buyer that bought it from me turned them into condominiums, but that's back then. That kind of neighborhood had been trending in that way, but you're seeing it now in neighborhoods where 3 families were kind of the staple, where they were
like Mattapan,
2 families now, and usually it might have been you bought it. A friend or a family member was renting out the other one, and it was kind of helping with the offset. Now, the only way you can afford it is to sell off half of your property, even if you're living in there.
I've seen people turn 1 family is in the basement is now an apartment, and upstairs is where they live. Yeah. So,
but it's again, these type of conversations have no interest. But if we were spending 2 hours talking about, like I said, Beyonce's new Cowboy album or whatever that is, I said, God bless her. I have nothing against her, but that stuff doesn't interest me.
No, and that's another thing too. It's like if the people that made it to that position would actually go back, like you said, go back to the community and say, hey, we're here to promote financial literacy. Hey, we're here to promote like business ownership.
That doesn't sell.
No, it doesn't. Well, and that's the thing too. It's just funny. Like who was his name? The NBA star Robinson. Like, he started schools.
David Robinson.
He started schools, but they don't. LeBron does like a lot of scholarships and stuff like that, but they don't put that out there and stuff like that.
Well, but even when they do, like I said, that's not sexy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's if you're fighting over the money that and ripping each other's hair out, then
that sells.
That sells. But anything
positive, anything to help build the community. It's
like. We go stand in line, like I've said this many times on this broadcast. During the holiday times, everybody is searching out which organizations are giving away turkeys, toys. Right? I'm like,
and they'll go wait hours in line for that.
But
to go register and vote.
Also, how about lifting yourself up so you can go, and maybe if you had to stand in to me, there's a personal gratification when I can go with my family and
purchase and do what you need to. As opposed to, like you said, why aren't they waiting in line to go get a job? Why aren't they waiting in line to go to school? Why, like, again, they're willing to go wait in line for vote.
Right. Only time I saw in my whole career, having worked the polls as a police officer, there was twice that I saw people in the communities of color standing in line.
Obama?
The first one was with Obama. The second one was marijuana was on the ballot to be legalized.
They had personal stake in both of those votes.
When I saw people standing in line, I mean, that was the first ever that I came to the precinct with the box for them to set up, and people were already standing outside waiting to vote. Those 2 times, that was it.
Well, so you see, if it matters to them, they will go out and vote.
But and I'm voting for
everything should exactly.
But it should not be something that's a one of.
Yeah.
In that we're caught up in the moment, right? Yeah. And then we like that.
You're absolutely right. Again, the fact they don't teach civics, they don't give you a sense of responsibility of like, hey, this is your democracy. You're responsible for it. You are responsible by how you vote. And then but again, people don't.
But they say if you
don't take that responsibility seriously.
If you don't cast it, in my town, I vote like there's an election. Matter of fact, I went to the Shaws in your town yesterday. In fact, when my daughter went to the library, we went to the grocery store, And there was a guy out there. He was standing out there getting signatures. He's running for a town commissioner, water sewer commissioner, or something. Okay,
was Tom or Scott? Is it Sam Leo?
He's running for re-election and for sewer commissioner or something like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, he knew where to go.
Yeah.
Right.
To get to people who vote, like Shaw's, that particular Shaw's. Yeah.
But I mean, I said because we don't get folks will not, even if they register, they don't come out and vote. I'm a super voter in my town. I want folks to know, I don't care if it's dog catchers, the only thing on the ballot, I'm going to cast my vote.
Yes,
I'm going to cast my vote.
When I do go vote, when I definitely show up to vote. You know,
a lot of people,
because it's like if you don't vote too, like in a year or two, they remove you off the register,
exactly,
and you have to go re-register. That's right. I'm like, all right, to avoid that, I'll just go vote.
They go back. Some people like, I've been at the poll. Oh, when's the last vote? 10 years ago. Oh, you're not on the. What do you mean? I voted 10 years ago. Yeah. They don't keep you on. If you don't show up, which I don't understand why they take.
Exactly, I don't understand why
you don't vote, right? I mean, unless you're deceased. But I mean, if you once you register, it should be for your life. You know, I mean, unless you move.
And that's the thing. They do the town census every year, and then so you have to basically reaffirm that you're living there, and then that keeps your voting status active. But if you don't go out actually and vote, within 2 years they remove you off the ballot. But they know that you're a resident.
But what is the sense in if you're not going to follow through?
I do not know. But again, if you're registering, that is the first step. And I'm not going to discourage people from registering.
No, I don't either.
But follow through and actually go vote.
That's what I'm talking.
Yeah.
People will register for toys or turkeys at a place. They go get it.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That's true.
They go get it. You have to pre-register for a lot of these things. They go get it.
Well, they don't understand the ultimate price that they're paying if they don't vote. It's their democracy, their freedom, their ability to.
People say it a lot of times, but I'm telling you, folks, this is part of the most consequential election.
Definitely.
Because if folks get in the mindset that this is how government is going to work going forward, if they validate it, because that's
what exactly. Your vote will validate this.
That you're okay with this, and then. We always have to learn the lessons the hard way, right?
Yeah, apparently. Well, hard-headed. Like Harriet Tubman said, if she could only free the ones, if they knew they were slaves.
Right, but bro, you said we don't have a few minutes left. How do we, again, I asked this question, it's probably like a broken record. How do we move past this? Because it doesn't seem to be making a difference. It doesn't seem to be changing the mindset.
Well, how do we move past this? There's so much reprogramming. We have, how they say, in order to learn something new, we have to deprogram ourselves in order to reprogram ourselves.
But there's so much garbage.
Exactly.
There's so garbage out.
Yes. So we got to take a lot of garbage out of us.
But we've normalized things that would never have been known, and it's happened so quickly. Is it too because, like I said, we talked about earlier, the garbage that people see that type of behavior has been normalized. Like when you turn on a TV show,
exactly,
and you see someone having all these affairs and stuff,
that becomes something like that's okay for me to do.
Everybody does that.
Yes,
that's not a big deal.
And that's what TV does. That's what media does. It normalizes behavior. It just kind of says, okay, this is what other people do, so therefore I'm okay with it. Yeah. So what people understand, it's like if you let this stuff into your home, this is what's going to happen.
Like I said, it's funny because we always would say, don't let strangers into your home, and now we're
the internet is the stranger, and it's too late.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Go ahead, you got about 30 seconds. Quick.
I was just telling you. Guess who just called me?
Oh, okay. I got you.
The gravy train is running.
There you go. A fair trade.
Absolutely.
Well, like I said, man, I have some folks. If you, we'll talk off the air, but that are in need. So if you.
Yeah, give me a call. I'll be doing it in about an hour.
All right. Folks, you've been listening to the Roundtable. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. See, community service.
Yes.
Brother Rose, close us out. Yeah.
Well, all I gotta say is, tune in next week to MAMLEO, and what do you want me to say with Dr. Bradley's line?
Whatever you have your own line.
I do. No, I all I gotta say is like, yeah, tune in next week at the old United Negro College Fund. To mind is a terrible thing to waste.
Absolutely. And Pastor Hobbs, somebody left the brush in the bathroom, but I know it doesn't belong to any of us. So, all right, we'll leave with that. All right, be blessed.
Thank you, sir. Be blessed. Thank you.
I wrote 300 songs in 1 year, Boogie will tell you I'm on it. I got unreleased songs for days, they don't want it. Eat any MC in the game, it ain't a challenge. If your music reflects who you are, then you's a coward. I can see through the lies you ain't living what you spitting. If your money's so long, why your dog's in prison? Why your baby mom's stripping, why your mom's still living in that same broken home that you used to sell piffin'. You ain't gotta lie to me to sell me a track. You ain't gotta rock fake jewels or walk around strap. I respect artists getting money, but love them for spitting crack. And the fact that one track can move a family out the trap. It's a dream for us lost souls brought up in the mix. I'm motivated by the artists coming out in my midst. And the artists that paved the way when I didn't exist. Music's a skyscraper, I'm just trying to add a couple bricks.
This is for the dreamers. They say I am a dreamer. Cause I still believe that anything is possible as long as you work hard. Hustle real hard, hustle real hard. Hustle real hard, hustle so if I never see ya, never get the chance to meet ya, know I came up from the bottom.